All right. Hello, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jessica Lascarbo. I work for the Bureau of Federal Compliance at the New Hampshire DOE. We are offering multiple trainings currently this spring. Today, we are going to be discussing the single audit certification and go over what that entails, the applicable due dates, and answer any questions that you guys might have. As most of you that are on this meeting probably know, fiscal year 21's single audit certification is due by the end of this month. So this is a very applicable training for some of you. So a non-federal entity that expends $750,000 or more during a fiscal year in federal awards must have a single or program-specific audit conducted for that year. We at the New Hampshire DOE are required to determine whether a subrecipient must have a single audit completed for that preceding fiscal year. So that's why we at the Bureau of Federal Compliance send out annually a single audit certification and a schedule of federal programs. And I'll go into detail in just a moment about those two documents. In order to determine if a subrecipient or a non-federal entity is required to have a single audit, the certification and schedule of federal programs is sent out to all of you after the close of a fiscal year. The fiscal year ends at the end of June. Regardless of if you have a single audit that needs to be conducted or not, the certification must be filled out and signed by the authorized official. That certification has 3 options on it. That's going to tell us whether you're subject to the single audit or not. If you're not subject to the single audit, then the schedule of federal programs must be filled out also. So this is what the single audit certification, page 1, looks like. Probably looks very familiar to most of you. And this is where I said you have 3 options. A, if your audit has already been completed by the time you fill out this form, you're going to select A. B, if you expect your single audit to be done within the coming months and which date it will be done. Or C, if you're not subject to the single audit, so your entity has expended less than $750,000 in the previous fiscal year, and then you're going to select Y. Typically, it's going to be that B option under C. We expended less than $750,000 annually. Then this is page 2 of the certificate, which is your basic information that's going to be filled out. And then it must be signed by the authorized official. If you are a district or an SAU, that's going to be your superintendent. If you are a reporting authority or a charter school, it's going to be whoever signed your general assurances with us annually. For a charter school, that's typically your director that signs the general assurances. So that same person's going to sign the single audit. Once you're done with this document and the other document, if applicable, you're going to send them to federalcompliance@doe.nh.gov. It explains that at the end of page 2 here. You can either send it to our address, which on the upcoming single audit certificate, it will have our current address on Hall Street in Concord, since our building is still under renovation. Or you can email it to us. Again, at that federal compliance email. 99% of the time it's emailed to us, which is great. If you have any questions though about the process, my email as well as Lindsay's is at the bottom. If you have a specific question, feel free to reach out to us by one of those emails, or our phone numbers are listed there also. So that's the single audit certification. Everybody must fill this document out regardless of your single audit status. So we have some people that, because they have the single audit done and it's already been done by the time, this form comes out, that they don't need to fill it out. We need this for everyone because of that requirement by the federal government for us on what we need to do. And part of our procedure is having this document filled out. All right. So the second document that I mentioned is the schedule of federal programs. This is only filled out for those that are not subject to a single audit. If you are subject to the single audit, this list is part of your audit. So we get the numbers straight from the audit, and those are the numbers we go by. It must show that your expenditures during the fiscal year were less than $750,000. If you fill out this table and it shows that your expenditures were over $750,000, you should have a single audit conducted and you don't need to fill out this document. It must include all US DOE grants. So as you know, not all US DOE grants pass through the New Hampshire DOE. You might receive direct federal funds from US DOE for various programs. We don't have that information on our end. So we need you guys to account for it on this worksheet with all the applicable information that's asked. Obviously, if it doesn't pass through us and it's not in GMS, you're not going to have a GMS project number. You can just put not applicable or an X or some indication that it's not going to be there. Some people will attach an Excel sheet with your own report on it that outlines the same information. That's fine. I don't want you to have to write in the same exact information. If you have a report that generates it for you, great. Just attach it. But it must have the GMS project number and the CFDA on it. We must be able to cross-reference this information to our system. Due date. As I mentioned, we do have a due date coming up for the single audit certificate, which is March 31st. There was a extension issued by the federal government. So if your audit itself is not done by the end of March, that is okay. You have a 6-month extension. So the end of September. The certificate and the federal worksheet that I just explained to you, though, the due date is March 31st. Regardless of when your audit is being completed, we need those documents back to us. Moving forward, the single audit certificate and the schedule of federal programs will be due no later than the last day of the year issued. So when the documents go out after the end of this fiscal year, for fiscal year 22, the certificate and the schedule will be due back to us by December 31st. Typically, we give you guys until the March 31st deadline for the audit to get your paperwork in. But then we don't have time to plan on our end all the audits that need to be reviewed by us per 2 CFR. So we need to be able to review those audits in a timely manner. So we need you guys to get your documents into us that state whether or not you're going to have a single audit done by December 31st. That will be explained on the worksheet that goes out this year. All right, a brief pop quiz, if you wouldn't mind popping your answers into the chat, just so I could see who was paying attention. And then I will open it up to questions after this. Feel free to come off mute or pop it in the chat and we'll answer any questions that came up while I was speaking, okay? If a non-federal entity expends less than $750,000, which two forms must they fill out for the DOE? Certificate and schedule. Yep, you guys got it. Both documents are required if you expend less than $750,000 in a fiscal year. True or false? A BA can sign the single audit documentation. False. That's right. Per our procedure here, the only authorized official to sign these documents is the superintendent, or again, for the charter schools or reporting authorities, it's whoever signs your general assurances. Question 3, if the single audit documents are sent out or posted in September of 2022, when are they going to be due by? December 31st. That's right, by the end of the year. Again, this differs from previous years. So I want to make sure that everybody knows there's going to be a change this year. Question 4, my non-federal entity has expended more than $750,000. Do I need to fill out the schedule of federal programs? The no's. That's right. So since all federal funds received from USDOE will be accounted for in your single audit that will be conducted, we will pull your numbers from that audit when we review it. That's it for the pop quiz. We'll open it up to any questions that you guys might have. Again, feel free to come off mute or type it into the chat and either myself or Lindsay will answer your questions. So the question in the chat is, do you provide the forms for the single audit process? The answer is yes. Every year at the end of a fiscal year, typically we give about 90 days for you to reconcile your reporting. We will send out the forms to all superintendents and business administrators. We also make them available on our website. We have a single audit link on our Bureau of Federal Compliance website. If for some reason the email doesn't get to you or it's lost, you can reference our website for the documents. The question is, if your school is in the first fiscal year, your first filing will happen after 22-23, not this year. If you didn't have any federal expenditures in this fiscal year and you're not going to have any until next year, then yes, you're going to wait until next year. Lindsay also just popped our website into the chat because I have referenced that a lot. For training purposes, these single audit documents, everything is on our website. We've added a couple new links recently to include our newsletters, this training, etc. So it has a lot of great information. Any other questions for us? If you think of something afterwards, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, this training will be made available on our website as soon as I have an opportunity to edit it, trim it up. It will be posted, but there will be a second training, so reference the calendar. I did make the calendar available on our website as well. The calendar has links in it, so you can just go to our website to get the training calendar and applicable links. Rachel, are you okay? Lindsay just posted a new link. Hopefully you can get to that one. If there are no other questions, we will let you guys go. But again, if you think of anything, please feel free to reach out. And hopefully we'll see you at our next training this afternoon. Have a great day, everyone.